Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Linking the Blocks, the ChainsAtlas podcast. I'm Jan, and we are a little bit out of our normal rhythm, as last week there was Token 2049 in Dubai, so we decided to move this week's episode to this week instead of last. I hope that didn't confuse people too much. So we have actually two events this week. We have our podcast and tomorrow our amazing X Space Beyond the Blocks with really interesting guests as well. So please tune in. Today we have a wonderful guest, a very interesting one. I'm really glad she made it here. Quinn from Suci Blockchain Hub. Welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you, Ian. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Can you guys hear me well?
I hear you perfectly.
Okay, perfect.
I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah, thanks for making it. I know last week we were really busy, and I know you are really busy with ETHVietnam upcoming, which you organize. So really grateful that you made it, and we can have this little conversation. Usually we always are very interested in individual stories in our podcast. So I know that you had a very interesting story into Web3, and I would love to hear more about it in this podcast. But first of all, we have a huge Vietnamese community, a big portion of our community. I just saw the numbers. So if you want to say a word or two in Vietnamese to welcome everyone, that would be kind of cool.
Okay, great. Xin chào tất cả các bạn. Cảm ơn các bạn đã tham dự buổi podcast ngày hôm nay và hy vọng rằng là trong buổi ngày hôm nay mình và anh Yên có thể chia sẻ cho bạn thêm nhiều những cái thông tin thú vị.
Awesome. I pretend I understood what you just said, but
Perfectly.
obviously,
100%.
pristine Vietnamese. Come on, that's all I know. I understood that one. By the way, we just touched on it. So you're the organizer of ETHVietnam, and we have a number of promo codes. Somtai, I think you already posted, or she will post if she didn't yet. So for all the Vietnamese here or those that are headed to Saigon for the event, you can get a really nice discount for your tickets. It's a bit of a first come first serve basis. We have plenty though. There are quite a few. So once you see it and you're interested, just register with the promo code and you'll get a nice discount to attend ETHVietnam later this month. And along those stories, I'd like to hear a little bit about how you got in touch with Web3. Maybe you can share a little bit about how you got where you are right now. What's your background, a little bit for our audience to learn about you and what you're doing at the moment. That would be really great.
Yeah, sure. So actually, the first time I heard about Bitcoin was 2010. At that time, I was studying in London, and my flatmate shared with me because, like, he was a computer science professor in a university in London, and he at that time even trying to buy Bitcoin and using it. So he just said, hey, there is a forum and also like people can start to buy this kind of cool thing. And then we even trying to see like how we can using it and buying Bitcoin, pizza with Bitcoin at that time. And then I didn't really notice or pay attention to that until 2016. Another friend, also like a computer science professor and AI also expert, he came back from US and he just shared with me about crypto and also the Bitcoin. And at that time, like, oh my God, what did I miss for the last 6 years, And then I just started to skin in the game since end of 2016, 2017. At that time, I remember there's a lot of ICO projects, like people just like can raise
Yeah, the
funds,
ICO.
just like, a
Yeah.
beach trip or something. And also
Mm.
definitely a lot of STEM project also at that time. And I believe that from those moments, right now, maybe like 99% of the project is not available anymore, right? Mostly that's like,
I mean, technically
the
probably
biggest,
available still, but nothing happening.
yeah, definitely, right? Like
Mm.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, some other biggest like, projects still there. So that's the great things. Um, and until 2020, so I just like, left the corporate life, left other startup, and also this like all in, like basically like work full time and do my own startup in Web3. And then from the beginning, I just like do the VC with other friends. We have the syndicate model to invest in early stage project in Vietnam, in APAC, and also like globally. And we invested a lot, around like 50 projects or something. And
Wow.
since 2020 until now, also like the number of the projects can survive is very rare, right? But we also have like some of the good investment. But at that time, really made me question myself, and also like question like, what really helps the founders and also the early stage project can be more
Mm.
sustainable. That's the big question, and I think that even until now is still the big question, right? So I just
You're
decided
doing a
to
good
go
job
back.
though, from what I could see so far. So,
Yeah, exactly. So that's like go back to basic, like we do, different workshop for helping the developers and also the founders, not only on the technical side, but also on the business side. Like even like how to raise fund, how to do legal framework, how to, like grow to the market, how to build the ecosystem and the community extra, that kind of thing. Very basic, but very, very important. And we also trying to have more global attention to Vietnam market, because like not so many people really know that Vietnam is so much of a potential for Web3, right? We
oh
have,
yes, yeah.
yeah, you also been here to Vietnam several times
Mm.
here already, right? So
Mhm.
like we have like about 20 million crypto users. Vietnam always like top three market, like, in terms of growth rate for the user globally. We also have a lot of developers, around like 400,000 developers. That's a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, so a lot of potential. And also like, for Vietnam government recently, they also have the new direction that really focus on AI, on blockchain, and also like trying to do the new regulation to support the technology and AI and blockchain startups, and also the regulation for crypto. We also have the sandbox soon. So that's all of the good things. That's what we trying to do here also in Vietnam. That's why we do ETHVietnam for events to bring everyone together and to boost for the Vietnam ecosystem for Web3. We also do Suci Blockchain Hub, focus on supporting, like education for developers, for founders, for early stage projects.
Mm.
And also we have like, other campaigns or events like Web3 Village, like the pop-up city we do in Vietnam, in across APAC region, to boost for the ecosystem and also to help the protocol and foundation to enter the market. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with all the activities you guys are having. It's pretty amazing. I mean,
Thank you.
along those lines, you mentioned a lot of the positive developments, and I can share this. All I've seen in the Vietnamese ecosystem, it's really vibrant. There's a lot going on. Obviously, as it is with Web3 and crypto, where there's a lot of sunshine, there's also a lot of the more darker elements of it. That's unfortunately something I think in any industry, but crypto tends to uh, get the bad press on it. But there's a lot of really amazing stuff. I had various conversations with founders in the whole region, Southeast Asia, but particularly also in Vietnam, around protocols with really strong utility, with really amazing tech. And as you mentioned, there's so many developers. But what do you think are the challenges still in general for the crypto market, but particularly also for this part of the world, for Vietnam, in terms of adoption, in terms of making the next step to be also more recognized, maybe? I know you're very public. I mean, you're organizing one, if not the biggest blockchain event in the country. You run various hackathons. I had the pleasure to speak on one of your panels a couple of months ago. Really great event with amazing founders and amazing developers that were creating really cool solutions using AI. So what do you think is the next step, and what's maybe still the challenge? What's maybe still missing to get to that next step?
Well, I think that like we're still in the early stage of Web3. So yeah, a lot of different teams and also like doing the great job that also like building the infrastructure and also like a lot of cool D apps. But however, like we also need to do way much more for adoption, mass adoption, right? And what I see that, like for now, the biggest, use case is still stablecoin globally. That's what I personally see it. So we also looking forward to see more use cases and adoption in our real life, right? So how to do it? I think that also it depends on a lot of things. Number one, that also in terms of regulation, right? The different governments also need to be more open for that and also to support and open more, easier regulation to support to onboard blockchain use cases, or even like cross-border payment, that type of thing. And also for building, I think that like, for now, a lot of cool ideas, but how to bring it into like adoption is another thing. And also like for, especially for Southeast Asia market, we also want to see more like long-term vision and sustainable projects. So not only follow the trend, so it's not this like GameFi or some different trends that this like in term of like 3-6 months, but actually can survive and also can grow and also can even bring it into the reality our life to have the big adoption. That's what I personally looking forward. um, and I think that for until now, I see after several cycle of the market, the builders and also the founders, they also like way much more resilient because they also like been through a lot of up and down, and they also learned a lot by themselves already. And for most of the successful founders, they also see that like they need to solve the real world problem also, right? So that's why like recently also more and more project also trying to solve the real world problem using blockchain and AI. And also I think that is the good way of it. Yeah.
You see a lot of founders, you see a lot of developers in your hackathons. You work with a lot of projects and protocols, bigger ones in terms of your sponsors, and really nascent young entrepreneurs that just started to build something or that are just building something in one of your hackathons, let's say. So put yourself in their shoes. If you were, let's say, you just graduated, you don't really have that much money, you're really interested in the tech, you have maybe one or two good ideas. If you would go for building something, I mean, you're obviously almost, you're still almost in that age, so all is good. But if you were in that situation now, what would it be that you think would be what you would go for? What would you find most interesting right now in the market to pursue?
You think that like what to build? Is that your
Yeah.
question? Or
Yeah. Yeah. What would you think is a good narrative, a good use case that would basically have a future? What part of the market would you find most interesting?
that's an interesting question. Very good question. To be honest, like I also like even question myself a lot for that because like I see so many different ideas and narrative that different founders also like trying to build here across the region and also
Mm,
globally, right?
mm,
So I still see the most is like infrastructure, DeFi, and also like social fi. And recently, yes, like meme, also like a lot more in Southeast Asia. Um, but I mean that like okay, what is the next trend, or what is the next narrative that can make it like become big and also like profitable? To
yeah.
be honest, like, I don't really know.
Maybe even long term, right? Not just a meme pump and dump, but maybe something where you think this might have a future. I don't know. If I'd ask myself that question, to be totally fair,
So what do you think
I
about
mean infrastructure, obviously. So that's something I love and I see the future, but in terms of projects, it's hard to predict where things go. I
that? But
think
recently
I
also
would
a lot.
definitely evolve around AI, but what the
Exactly.
exact use case is, uh,
Yeah.
it's hard to predict. It's hard to
Yeah.
predict.
So for the last years, actually, I see that numbers of project like AI agent like increase like so fast, right? So
Yeah, it's
like even like
crazy.
AI agent for investment, for DeFi, um, AI agent for other services, or even like marketing or like services, right? So a lot of AI project like recently. But for what narrative, I also don't really know which one gonna
Mhm.
be the number one trend, or even like AI in gaming. But seems like it's the hot keyword. So even a lot of project
Mhm.
like Web3, they need to add on another layer of AI agent to make it easier to raise fund or higher valuation. Or even AI project, they also need to add a bit of blockchain just to make it like easier for them to raise funds. So um,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, the AI craze, like that's really amazing. I mean, we obviously that's where our core business is. We're kind of in the trenches when it comes to AI. Um, and we see the technological development, the leap in tech that has been happening over the last year or so. I always keep on getting back to that. I know I sound like a broken record there, probably, but it's just so astounding. It's a year ago, I told people, okay, for this, you really need to wait 2 years, 3 years. And then
hmm
yeah, like 3, 4 months later and think, damn, I probably could build this now. Right. And I just had a conversation with one of our investors yesterday, and we talked about he has a bit of a developer background. Like many years ago, he was doing a bit of web development, and he'll be on this podcast as well in a couple of months. And he just didn't do anything in years, and then he just tried a little vibe coding, and suddenly he created these products in just a day. Right?
hmm
And this is stuff where we talked about like back in the days, you would have needed a team, and it would take months to get to the same point. So it's really amazing. I don't know yet what it means for the future, to be honest. And that's why I was asking you. I know it was a bit of a maybe mean question because it's really hard to answer.
hmm
But um, yeah, I don't know where this is leading, but I know it's very disruptive and a lot of things will change. You mentioned gaming, right? I don't know how much touch points you have with gaming projects, but that's an industry with such long lead times, years over years to create a new game. You imagine now with AI, you can do this in a few months. That's a total game changer. So
Yeah,
cool.
so for gaming, like yeah, a lot of AI agent also like involving in gaming. So they even
Yeah.
some game like some easy game even created by AI recently on different distribution platform, or also they create their own character using the AI agent to play games
Yeah.
for them,
Yeah.
right? So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's more fun to play game with the AI also, like the new character
Yeah, for
inside
sure.
the game. Yeah,
And also the NPCs, right? You can
exactly.
actually create something intelligent that you can actually talk to, right?
Yeah,
Not just go to pick up a
like
quest and then.
yeah, question
Uh,
them, like talk to them, play with them. It's fun. Yeah.
uh,
Mm.
cool. Maybe let's get to the next question. What is it that is brewing right now? Anything you're working on at the moment that you can share, that you're excited about beyond obviously the upcoming event? Maybe you can also share a little bit about that actually. What's in store for ETHVietnam? But generally, yeah, what are you working on? Anything exciting?
Yeah, event is just like one of the things that we do to bring everyone together. And basically, we just focus on the content of technology to help the builders and also the founder to leverage their knowledge and also network with the global experts and global resources, like including even like funding and also like supporting in terms of technical and business. So we also do ETHVietnam annually, and this year we do in Vietnam, and we do in the Independent Palace, which is a historical building of Vietnam. Very, very beautiful venue where even the Prime Minister, the President of Vietnam do the important meetings of the country with other diplomat people. And
Wow.
where now we even can talk about blockchain, right? So this is like the venue that we can showcase the history and the culture of Vietnam, but at the same time we also can share the use cases of technology and blockchain with the world. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, but event is like one thing, but we focus on supporting the developers and also the founder of early stage project, so help them to build things more sustainable. So we do like a lot of different workshop and also do the incubation program. So each batch gonna be from 12 weeks or to 16 weeks for the project they can join. So we also involving in the top global mentors from different protocol and foundation and also like different teams to help the founders to go through the journey from building from zero to hero. So even like building from 0 to 1, you need to see like how to set the right legal framework from the beginning, how to like even like attract the talents from the start, where you just like even don't have much money, you just have the father or even this yourself and one co-founder or even this like one dog or something. You don't have much money to attract the super talents. How to like building the MVP or validate the ideas, and also add to that like also at the scale to go to market, like what is the strategy, how to grow the community, how to build the great product management tools, and for the growth scaling, like all of those kind of topic we cover in the incubation program. So this is not only for the Southeast Asian or APAC region projects, but we also like incubate the project globally. And the thing is like we also partnership and handshakes with the many different layer 1, layer 2, the biggest one in Web3. So we have bunch of like great workshop mentors and a lot of granting and also like funding, potential funding later on to support the projects. And with this kind of thing, like we always like helping to bring from the ideas become the real project with the MVP, and also help them to be sustainable. So the output of it is like we have the new number of project, good quality, sustainable into the ecosystem. And for protocol, they also can approach and they can see like the real project that they really commit into building, and also they can support them from the very early stage. Yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Oh,
I
sorry, I
Yeah.
muted. I keep on doing that. I keep on muting myself. Um, so if I'm a young entrepreneur and I want to become part of this incubator, because I want to build something really cool, maybe an AI agent on ChainsAtlas, wink, wink. But if I want to build something and I'm looking for an incubator, so what would be my process if I want to, if I like what I just heard and I want to give it a try? So what would I have to do?
Yeah, it's very simple. You just go to our website, Suci, spelling like SUCI.io. And then from there, you can go through the part that for the ecosystem, and you see our different like incubation program. So for example, right now we also have the incubation program that we do with List, the layer 2 of Ethereum, and also the next batch also on, like coming after that. So you can see like all the topic and also like the link how to apply. And yeah, I believe that we have done this since 2020, and a lot of projects and also founders and developers who join our incubation program, that they really see that it's a life-changing experience, because it's not only about the workshop and like mentoring, but it's the community that we really support the founders from building from zero to hero. And we also care for as a friend, as a mentor, care for them, like because we know that for that building journey is really tough. So even that we do like bunch of activities, like really cool stuff, like to care for their physical health, mental health, resilience for the founders, and also like besides with all the working on technical and business. So for example, like we also bring them into, like after joining the incubation program, hybrid, right? We choosing the best founders and also best developer to join our grow camp, which we call a Web3 village. So they can co-living and co-building from 1 week to 1 month together. And from there, like we also even like have them to go through the normal day life of a founder journey. Like even in the morning we can do sport together, like ice bath, sporting, yoga, the kind of thing to boost for the the strength. And also after that we jump into a different topic for mentoring, for as I mentioned before. And then they also working together. They even can collaborate with other attendants to form a team, to find the co-founder, to find the co-members of the team. And also they can build the project together. And after that, we also have the demo pitch day, showcase the projects and also apply for the granting or the investment. So actually for the last 4 or 5 years, like we have bringing into the ecosystem like bunch of great projects, and also they can really apply for great numbers of investment for their own project. Or even for some builders, after 1 month or something, they even recognize that, okay, maybe this idea is not that good, and they go back and they work on it. And they come back again and they make it like even way much better quality with the better MVP, and also
Mm,
they're ready for the investment. So that's the way how we can support the founders. Yeah.
I see the excitement. That's really cool. Um, yeah, you can hear when you talk about it. You really live it. That's amazing. Um, I'm sure someday we can put some links on our post when we also put out the discount code. Be great. So people, for everyone here that's interested in getting a little bit of help to kickstart a project, sounds like a good opportunity.
Yeah, for that, like we actually do annually with different batches. So, for example, we did in Hoi An every year, and also we extended into overseas. Like, for example, we did in Thailand,
Mm,
like Chiang Mai last year for 1 month. We
nice.
did in Bangkok, and this year we
Love
also
Denmark.
plan to do in Hoi An again, Vietnam, and also we
Mm.
plan to do in Osaka, Kyoto, Japan.
Oh,
Yeah, so like a lot of like
pick all the
cool.
beautiful places. Come on, this is
Exactly.
I see a picture here.
Exactly. because I think that, like
I'm
for
inclined to apply now just for the travel.
definitely, you can come and talk to other, builders, fathers, and also can see like what
Yeah,
cool things that they're building.
yeah,
Yeah, and
definitely.
actually the great thing about it is not only about the building thing, but we think about what is the actual problem of that local community, right? So,
Mm.
and what is the way that we really can apply our technology and also our cool idea to solve those kind of problem. So that's why we even also collaborate with the local government in that area to, like sharing about the current, like, some of the current problem in that local community and what kind of ideas and project that we're building or use cases globally that we can have the global economy, or that and even collaborate with the local government. So that is a cool thing that we do. So it means that it's not only from the grassroots level, but we also bring it into the enterprises level, which, like, with the existing Web2 business want to
Mm.
apply blockchain, and also with the government level, like, to actually have to solve the local problem.
So from all the places you're active at, if I was a founder
Yeah,
right now, I need to choose. I can and I would need to choose a place. I mean,
yeah.
obviously Vietnam is the best, but
Yeah, Vietnam is really nice. Like, you can experience the local culture here. Also,
mm,
like, you have the great community with a lot of potential for, finding your team member, for developers, also like for your team, even BD marketing, right? With the cost here also like way much cheaper compared to other countries. And also, like, we have a lot of, collaboration with the government, with the enterprises. But actually in Japan, like, we plan to do it in September this year. We also
yeah,
talking to the Osaka government, and they also love to support like all the digital nomad and also builders who want to enter Japan market or Osaka, especially,
Japan was
right?
very
So,
welcoming lately, right? They also created this digital nomad visa, I think, if I
yeah,
remember correctly. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. That's
that's
why
nice.
they love
Mm.
to support like our program. They also want to share the digital nomad visa to all of us.
Yeah, amazing. So I obviously, I mean, you are biased. So, and Vietnam is an amazing place to start. I mean, everything you just named, I can just confirm. The food is amazing, I might add as well, and the people are really friendly and always love being there. But Japan obviously is also very interesting for sure. What I find interesting about Japan is that it used to be very isolated. A
Mm-hmm.
little bit, I mean, in both countries, you have a little bit of the language barrier. That's definitely, it used to be an issue. I think it gets better, but um, Vietnamese and Japanese both don't always, like the level of English on average is not as high, let's say in Malaysia, obviously, or even in Thailand. Um, but outside of that, how do you see these markets opening up more? Also, Japan in particularly, I've seen like things are done very much in a unique way in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a Vietnamese going there and now opening a incubator like that or running events, what's your perception of the Japanese market? I'm just curious, having experienced some business encounters in Japan myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the people, but if you want to do business, it's not always easy for an abundance of reasons. Language is one of them. Very unique customs is another. So how was that experience for you?
So for us, actually, we see that like the Japan, they also very open for blockchain and AI, and they really welcome, like startup founders and also developer or digital nomad to go there and to do work with them. That's number one thing. So you even can see that actually, for example, in Ethereum ecosystem, right? Last year, EdCon also did in Tokyo, right?
Mm.
The government also really support, the Japan government really support the EdCon at that time. Also like they work with like United Nations in Japan, right? So it means that it's really open for that. And also this year, they also do again in Japan. And for the World Expo in Japan, actually, they also do from April to November this year in Osaka. So a lot of government, different countries also go to Japan, and they want to showcase the smart cities and their exhibition about their country. And for Ethereum or for blockchain projects, also like do the exhibition and connect directly with like different smart city and also the Japan government, to bring in like the use cases of blockchain. And once again we see that they're super excited and also like open to learn about this and apply blockchain. In terms of like working directly with the Japanese, yes, there is one barrier in terms of the language. So I personally also like see that, okay, sometimes two ways. Number one, that we also have the local Japanese who speak English really well to support, so they
Yeah.
also can support us to connect to the
So that's
different.
great.
Yeah, exactly, the right place, the right people, and even the working with the government, right? So it's not easy for a foreigner, to be honest, at that level.
Yeah.
But in terms of like working with the blockchain community, they super active also. So I don't see that it's the big barrier. So for example, last
Mm.
year we also see that the Global event, they also do the hackathon with more than 1,000 attendance in Tokyo. And also like several different committee in Japan, they also support and bring in the local developers, right? And also builders. But yeah, I
I
see
find it.
that compared
Yeah.
to Vietnam, definitely Vietnam market or other Southeast Asian market is way much more, how to say, um, open, and also like bigger
Open. Yeah.
community, and also like more less hidden, right? For the
Mm.
Japanese community, also like a little bit more hidden compared to Southeast Asian market. But when you know the right people, yeah, you can unpack
Yeah, it's
those kind
important.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially on the level you just mentioned, government,
yeah.
Web2,
Mm,
corporate.
yeah.
I think I find it always interesting, like all the Web3 people on a tech basis, on a really more degen kind of level, people just
Mhm.
understand each other. It's just that idea and of having a common cause, a common narrative, a common theme to talk about is so much stronger than individual um, traits. If you're Japanese or Vietnamese or German or whatever, it becomes less important. But then obviously, if you want to do business, all these connections that you mentioned become very important. So uh, I think it's great work that you're doing. It's really really impressive. Maybe real quick, one last question before we open for questions from the community. Back to ETHVietnam for those that might want to attend. Maybe you can give a little wrap up what to expect, what to look for, what you're particularly proud of, like a little rundown over for those people that are maybe still on the fence if they should or should not go.
Mm. Very interesting. So for Vietnam, we started to do since 2022. As I mentioned before, actually we do this is not commercial event. This is really like non-profit event to the support the builders,
Mm.
founders, early stage project, and also support protocol and foundation to enter the Vietnam market. Um, so for the last several years we have done, we always have at the scale of like 3,000-4,000 attendance, and the content really focus on technology, on the use cases. And that's how like the government in Vietnam also really support for those kind of content, and they encourage us like to even like doing and sharing more use cases globally, to more enterprises in Vietnam. So one thing that we do changes for this year for Vietnam is like the highlight topic of this year is like to bringing Web2 into Web3. So it means that it's not only for Web3 startup or projects, but also to support like Web2 enterprises to enter the Web3 and also to apply blockchain. So that's why we're also bringing like the biggest enterprises partner in Vietnam, like even stock market company, you know, real estate company, uh, many other services, like the biggest one in Vietnam also to join, so they also can sharing about the direction of the Vietnam biggest enterprises, how they want to apply blockchain, what they're doing also. So it's like two ways, you know, not only all the way that we're talking about Web3, what we have done, but also on the Web2 side, right? And that's how we can bridge Web2 into Web3. So it means that like if any of you also like doing great, like, you know, other use cases overseas and great projects and great solution, also can join us and also can share with, you know, other enterprises and also the government here what you guys doing. So that's the way that we even can open for way much more collaboration in terms of business. That's one of the biggest changes for this year. And another thing that for normally we do hackathon for 3 days during the event, we call it like Vietnam Build Week. And this time, like we not only focus on Ethereum, but we also do multi-chains. So it means that we also bring in like other layer one, layer two, for you with different tracks. So also like to have the bigger bounty and also like to more change for builders to build on. That's another thing that we're changing for this year. And also for ETHVietnam, actually, you know, like this is not the conference, a normal boring conference. So we really want to make it like become like kind of the festival vibe for the builders with the technology mixed with the culture. So if you have joy, like, you know, other Vietnam, you'll see that the vibe is really, really different. Like we do in the historical building, we also add on the great food, like showcase, you know, culture in Vietnam. We also have the great music, and that's the vibe of collaboration between, like, you know, among friends, new friends, and also like we open for a lot of cool stuff in the market. Yeah.
Now the FOMO is coming. The FOMO is coming. Another good reason to join is that the ChainsAtlas team will be there, in form of Luke, sometime myself. So if you have any questions or want to engage with us, we'll be in town. That a little promotion on our end. But yeah, I can only recommend it. It's an amazing place, an amazing ecosystem, and it's an amazing event. So do join, and you get it for cheap if you use the promo code that we put out later. Awesome. So if you don't mind, we have a bunch of questions from the audience. Some are very technical, AI focused. I think we will tackle those in our space tomorrow. I think the audience or the participants in the panel will be better suited for that. But if you don't mind, I'd go through a few questions before we wrap it up.
Yeah, sure.
If that's okay for you. Cool. So we got one from Ezzy. I just see Suki blockchain. Is it Suki or Suci? The pronunciation, not the
The pronunciation is like Suci, which means in
Suci.
Pali
Suci.
language,
Oh,
it means like cure. So we basically have
beautiful.
really good intention to support the community, the builders, the founders, the developers, the user, that's, you know, to onboard millions of people into Web3 ecosystem. Yeah.
Quinn, next time, correct me if I do it wrong. I've been butchering your name the whole time. I feel bad.
So,
Okay. I just see Suci blockchain hub that you built. What's the main goal of Suci blockchain hub, and how does it help Web3 builders get going? I think we talked a bit about it,
yeah.
but maybe if you tackle, I think we basically tackled it before. But
Mhm.
the main goal, what? That's maybe a good question. What's your main vision for it to become in the future and to achieve with it?
Our mission is really simple and straightforward, that we onboard millions of builders and founders and new project into the ecosystem, into Web3. So it's not only on the grassroots level, but also on the enterprises and also working with the government. So right now we also connecting and also supporting the biggest enterprises in Vietnam to do research and also let's see different use cases globally and also applying to their existing business. And also working with government to do education for hundreds of enterprises in Vietnam about blockchain use cases. Yeah, so that is our main goal, to bring on, mass adoption Web3, bring on millions of new people into the ecosystem.
I hope that answers your question, Nazi. One from Joshua: what do you see as we already touched on that as well. What do you see as the most promising application areas in the integration of AI technology with Web3, and why? I think we talked about it earlier. I don't know if you had a new idea since. Otherwise, I hope that was answered for you, Joshua. Oh, give me a second. There we go. Oh,
So
this
I
is a
think
good
that we
one.
discussed before, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I said we mentioned about this before. Unless that you have the
Yeah.
new things to
No,
share
I
with
don't.
Joe.
I didn't have a
Okay.
vision in the meantime. Nothing came. I still believe though that AI will be a big use case in the future everywhere, but also
Yeah.
particularly in Web3. And Web3 blockchain is the one technology that can help AI to be fair, if that makes sense. Because right now it's very centralized, right? All the AI applications. I mean, there are some open source LLMs out of China, also out of the US, but then you need to have the knowledge to actually make it run in your own environment and so on. I think blockchain eventually will be the one technology that helps spreading the use of AI in a more fair manner. But that's my own maybe too ideological view of things. So Plant had a really cool question. How will Suci, I learned it, balance the challenges between blockchain transparency and privacy that may arise with the advent of quantum computers? Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure you really want to go that far, but transparency and privacy in terms of blockchain, what's your view on that?
I'm just not really like a technical person. So in
Yeah,
terms
more
of the
from a high
yeah,
level point of view, I think, yeah.
I cannot say the details, but I think that in terms of privacy and transparency, I think that is super big topic that we trying to working on using blockchain, right? Especially for identity, privacy, and also less transparent. So I think that for now, like I see also a lot of projects that they also working on the ID, this like to helping the different country, even like country like Myanmar, why they have the war, have the identity for their citizen in a decentralized way, not controlled by the current government, but also at the same time also like can help them to have the privacy, because definitely also like in the war country like Myanmar or something, it's not easy. Right now they just have do you know what they have, the ID is just like writing on the paper.
I know.
We
Yeah.
21st century, and that kind of thing is still happening right now. And what kind of like all the transaction that they do or whatever activity that they do for now is controlled by the government, right? So the privacy is super key important for those kind of people. And I know that even recently some of the project, non-profit project, they working on those kind of really big problem like country in Myanmar, and using blockchain supporting to do like privacy to support the Burmese people in multiple different aspects in their life, even like money transfer, cross-border payment, right, is super important for them for now.
Yeah.
Or even ID, or like doing a lot of even activism, right, is super important for them, because a lot of them even need to run away from the country, stay in Thailand, in other country, and be the activist. But if they got exposed, they will be caught immediately. So privacy is super important to those, and blockchain actually can help Burmese,
Yeah.
and that is one of the example like how important it is nowadays, and blockchain can solve it, right? So yeah, I think this is a very big topic that we can talk for days, for weeks, for months. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's a hardcore actual use case where
Yeah.
it helps people. And it actually literally saves lives.
Mm-hmm.
It might sound a little bit overstated, but what you just mentioned, like if the wrong people get, and in a country like Myanmar, where like, yes, the government would have to be in control, but the government is only in control of a tiny fraction of the country,
Yeah.
and the rest is split between all kinds of warlords. So uh, it's it's an environment where you never know what you can do and what you can share, and where you somehow need to survive, and these technologies can actually help you. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
um Maybe let's do two more questions.
Sure.
One from Evie again. As the founder of Suci community, what is your advice for building a Web3 community, a strong Web3 community?
Wow, this is really great question. Actually, I also learned a lot for the last 5 years building the community, and I don't know that if I have the right answer for this. To be honest, like I just started with the pure intention that, hey, I see that we have a lot of potential in Vietnam, and most of the community at that time is just like focused on trading, right? And
Yeah.
not even have like several big or strong community focus on building, on supporting builders and uh, building the good project at that time. So it is like pure intention that way, and just like I did research globally to see that how other community that building and support those group of target audience. And also we started with the event like ETHVietnam. At that time, I even didn't know any single one in the Ethereum Foundation, to be honest. What a shame. Because normally others like focus on building, right?
Yeah.
But when this like I see, okay, maybe event and community is a way that bring everyone together, so we can inspire each other, we can helping validating the ideas, we can even like building together, and we can even solving and create the impact into our real world. So that's the thing that we want to do. So we just started to share the ideas, and we started to test a lot of different activities in many different ways. And the key thing is like for building community, I think it's like you need to be consistent, right?
Yeah.
It cannot grow like in 1 day, 2 days, but from the beginning, maybe it's like this several people, 10, 20 people join, but later on, it's starting to grow bigger if they really see the values or the impacts that you bring to them. That's the key thing. So it's like, okay, number one, focus in the values and the impact that you can bring to the community. Second, that also consistent, right? Consistent, keep doing
Yeah.
that and don't give up, right? Don't give up, and test fast and learn fast. That's the next thing. If anything doesn't work, it's fine, we fail it, and then we learn new thing, and then we try new thing. And if something work, yeah, repeat it again faster and bigger scale to scale it up, and so that you can grow more user or grow the community. And the next thing, I believe that at the end of the day, we all human beings, so it need to be it's this heart to heart, you know I call it like heart to heart transaction, right? Community is really like you talk to people, you build a real connection, you build a real friendship, and it needs to be
Yeah.
like win-win for everyone, and pure also like to bring the value. So it's really like, okay, you whatever that you think that you can support and do for other people, and create the same for other people, not only one person, right? For many people. So that community need to be safe, right? To be trusted, and also to be like valuable, so more people will
Yeah.
join. So the way that we do is not only on, hey, all the time workshop is boring, but we really even can bring everyone together with different way, different activity that we all care about, like even healthcare, you know, or entertainment, even sometimes chess or sometimes music, different activity besides with
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way we just repeat it. Yeah.
I found it also very interesting. I mean, we've just been going through that phase, starting to grow a community, and we're, to be honest, in the middle of it. There's a lot of interesting stuff upcoming.
Uh-huh.
But what I found really the best analogy in a way is to going to gym. Um, if you don't have the
Gym.
consistency, but
Uh-huh.
also variety in hitting different parts of your body,
Mhm.
um, the results won't show. Just from doing one, two things, you might get a bit of a pump there, but it's not gonna last, right? So
Exactly.
it's a little bit, if you want to stay healthy, if you want to maintain a certain strength, you have to do it all over again, and you have to also try different angles. So this is to me really the closest analogy in terms of what has to be done from a mindset point of view.
Yeah,
Might
exactly.
just be me, but
Yeah. And I think that for the community at the end of the day, if we have the cool community that really, you know, great quality, I think that people this can connect it and
yeah,
you know, build the cool community when they also have the core value aligned, right? So that
exactly.
also
Yeah,
one
that's very
important
important.
thing.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and for Suci, we also recently have our own physical hub. So we even like, you know, have a space for cooking space together. Um, our community member also can join cooking with us. Also can have the venue for the events, like, you know, for even like sport, for workshop, for meetup, side event. So that's also one of the way that we just bring everyone together,
Really cool.
and we can have a lot of like meaningful and impactful um, you know, conversation and a lot of cool ideas this born from there. Yeah.
Amazing. Let's do one last one because I think that's a nice wrap up. We touched on it before, but this is really, I never asked it directly. So, Ayush, what's the hardest part about turning a fast growing blockchain scene like Vietnam's into something that actually lasts? I think that's a really good question.
Sorry, what is the question again? How to
So, what's the hardest part, or what's the most important part about turning a fast growing blockchain scene like Vietnam's into
uh-huh.
something that actually lasts, so into something that is not just a hype now and in the
Okay.
bull market, but something that lasts long term.
Mhm. I think it's that from it's not only on Web3, but everything is that from what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and is your solution really can solve that at the big scale, right?
Mm,
I think that's the core thing that it helps the business last. Um, as long as you know you solve the problem and the problem is big enough, so even that after times like several years, the problem is still there, and your solution can, you know, fulfill and can solve that problem, and a lot of user and they still love it, and so yeah, it lasts. That's very basic thing
mm.
in my opinion.
So
um,
in a national level, or like in a national community like Vietnam, that would translate into, you believe that you have to build companies like that for the community to last, if I get
yeah,
that correct.
exactly. What is the
Mm,
real problem that you're trying to solve here, right?
yeah, yeah,
um Even like for nowadays, like some problem like before maybe 2 years is a big problem, but technology also changing everything, right? AI also changing things. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so in the next 2 year 5 years, your solution is it still sustainable for that?
yeah.
Can still solve it or AI change it, right? So yeah, I think that's the way that we just start with the idea and see. And I
And it's
think
the
that, yeah,
good
this
old,
is
yeah,
sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I see that this is a thing that before that we build anything, I think that like this is a very basic but very important question that we always ask
Yeah.
ourselves,
Yes.
or even ask other people
Mhm.
around to validate the idea. That helps a lot. Or even that when we build the MVP, and I or other many other founders also keep repeating that question and ask again and again to
Yep.
adjust our business
Yep.
model or our product. Yeah.
Mhm. I love that answer because it's not Web3. It's just universal. I think that's
Mhm.
true for every startup ecosystem. And I'm working with quite a few startups, also in my accelerator in Cambodia and so on. So in Web3, you tend to have these business models which have a perspective of 6 months. So I want to pump something in the bull market. I have a meme coin, whatever. But to build a lasting business, it's not only, okay, what problem do I solve now? How do I solve it? But it's
Yeah.
also, am I flexible enough to adjust and pivot when needed, when I have enough data points, when things change, when, let's say, now AI comes along and suddenly my business model still very, very valid. The problem is still there, but I need to embrace it in a different fashion, having these new tools. Or maybe new problems arise that I can solve with what I have. So all these questions, always reevaluating, never stand still. I think that's very, very important for an entrepreneur in general. But I could go on a tangent, but we're already way late. Um, so I will refrain from doing so. Thanks a lot for being here. I don't want to take up more of your valuable time. Looking forward to ETHVietnam. Hopefully we have a moment to chat when we are there. And yeah, would be lovely to have you back in a few months or a year and see how things evolved and catch up again. And thanks a lot again for being here. Thanks a lot to the audience, to the community. As mentioned in the beginning, we are a little bit out of tune with our regular rhythm, meaning that the next Linking the Blog is already next week with Peter from Bebop. This time I actually remember. It must be a first. Sometime I start listening to you. He's into marketing, and we talk a little bit about how to build really strong narratives that last. So a bit similar to what we just discussed. Should be a really interesting one as well. Um, Hope to see you all back again next week. And thanks a lot for, as I always say, the ever-growing audience. You will see this in a few days on YouTube, and can't wait for the next one. Have a wonderful day, Quinn. Really great having you here. It was a huge pleasure. And yeah, see you all again next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.